Hi, this is Ken and Michelle Bass.
And you're listening to the Resilient Parenting Podcast.
All right, we're ready for our first episode of our podcast, the Resilient Parenting Podcast of 2026.
That's a lot of podcasts.
That's a lot of episodes.
We actually have a lot of episodes. I've been miscounting it this whole entire time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, we have like 50 something. Yeah, we're in the 60s now.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, we are.
So that means I'm not really in the 70s?
No, that's still accurate.
Oh, okay. A little something for you before we get going. Just
okay.
little factoids, because it's not a dad joke thing.
Okay.
It's not a dad joke, but it's...
I'm in shock, but...
Well, I always talk about the weather. Lately, it's been really cold in some parts of the country, a lot of snow and things like this. But let's talk about rain. When you say it's raining cats and dogs, did you know that it's called something else in other languages?
No. Well, I'm sure, whatever language they speak.
Okay. In Portuguese, it's raining snakes and lizards.
Oh, no, thank you.
Romanian, raining frogs. Persian, raining jackals.
Raining jackals.
Yeah, raining cats and dogs. And French is raining like a peeing cow.
Raining like a peeing cow.
Yeah. And what's even worse is what it means in Cantonese. They say raining dog's poo.
Ew. There's something wrong with
no
their
cows,
water.
no dogs, no thank you.
Yeah, ew. Ew, ew, ew.
Okay. Let's segue into talk about how this episode's going.
Yes. So the episode is amazing. I think all the episodes are amazing, but, we wanted to start 2026 with a bang. So we invited a local celebrity. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to give you a heads up that in the episode, she's talking about, not having all the answers and being okay with not knowing everything, right? And then she says something and then she doesn't finish her sentence, and that's because we
ran out of time.
We ran out of time, and it was actually really funny. Because I won't say what word I used when that happened, but it started with an O.
Oh.
It stopped. Anyway, we talked to her, and we thought it was very...
it
what is
pretty
the
much
word?
Represented how the episode was, I guess, in a way.
Exactly what she was talking about. So we decided to keep it in. So yes, we know.
Symbolic.
It's symbolic of what she was talking about. Yes, we know. And no, you won't have the answer. Enjoy. So excited starting 2026 with a bang, if we can. Okay. We have Leta Harris Neustaedter with us today, and we are so excited. So Leta is an arts educator, musician, actor, community builder, and clinical social worker. And I would just like to say for the record that because of Leta, I am a clinical social worker. So there's that. I would definitely say that in addition to being a mentor, she is one of my best friends, and I have very high regard for her. So, Leta, thank you so much for joining us and the Resilient Parenting Podcast.
Yay, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So, Leta is involved in so many things in the Treasure Valley, I should mention, and there's so many things that we could talk about. And in fact, when we were brainstorming and I was coming up with ideas, there were so many things. But we did talk about a couple of... Well, first, did you want to say anything in particular that you're doing that currently that is super exciting for you that you would want to share before I go right into the topic of what we're talking about?
I don't know. You wouldn't happen to be referring to the play Intimate Apparel, would you?
Oh, perhaps.
Well, yes, Michelle. Now that you ask, I am directing the play Intimate Apparel by award-winning playwright Lynn Nottage, and it is a beautiful, tender drama set in 1905, and it will be at the Boise Little Theater Black Box. I'm also appearing in the play, and Michelle is also appearing in a special, you'll have to come and see for yourself kind of way. So yeah, that's February 5th through the 15th at the Boise Little Theater Black Box.
Yes, that's exciting. And you also just started a new project that I think is also exciting, that other people, the radio, your radio program, is that where anyone in the state of Idaho can access that station, or is it only a certain area of Idaho?
Girl, anyone in the world can access that because it's streaming online. So it's local to the Treasure Valley if you're just listening like on the radio, but if you're streaming online, you can access it from anywhere. Okay,
you all heard it here first, because guess what? We have people listening from all over the world. So tell us just a little bit about it, because I think it's pretty cool what you're doing.
Well, actually, Michelle, it ties in with one of the topics that we were talking about today. So maybe I can kind of segue in there. So the show is called The Lovely Afro Experiessence. Yes, I made up the word experiessence. It's what I do.
It's now a word. It's officially now a word.
It's a Leta word.
It's a Leta word. It's on Tropico FM, which is a community radio station. It is KFFI 103.1 FM, but also you could just go online to Tropico FM. And so originally The Lovely Afro was a show that was featuring Black and Brown community members, elevating our voices, our experiences, our perspectives. And so each show would focus typically on one person, and it would be a combination of the interview with that person and then also music that kind of fit in with the things that we were talking about. So that's a little bit of what I was going to kind of do this time around. I took a break for 2 years, but I still wanted to do interviews, but also kind of my own thoughts about stuff, the things that are happening in the world, racial justice issues, but also mental health issues, the different things that I do, and music. So that was my idea with the show when I brought it back. But actually, I'm kind of changing my mind about that. And that's one of the things that, to me, fit in when you and I were talking about ways that we all navigate this world that we're living in right now that feels very chaotic and very, hostile, and things feel scary, and it can be very easy to feel depressed, and for me, one of the things that is really helpful is to, keep reminding myself that it's okay to pivot. It's okay to change my mind. It's okay to let myself evolve and let myself flow, and not feel like if I make a choice about a certain thing that it's linear, straightforward, or failure, right? So for example, with the show, after I've only done 2 shows. So this little epiphany I had has just been happening. Yesterday was my 2nd show, so this baby's brand new. But what I discovered in that first show was when I had the music playing that I'd selected, and I'm sitting there in the little radio booth, and that music's playing, and I just felt so much joy because I'm listening to these songs that I love, and I'm sharing them with other people that may or may not have heard them before, and then I had this pre-taped interview for about 25 minutes about issues, stuff, racial justice stuff. And during the interview, it was like, heavy, and then the interview was done and the rest of the show is music again. And I was back to feeling like, ooh, this song. Ooh, I want to play this song. Ooh, I want to share this song. And I was singing the whole time in the booth, the microphone's off so nobody could hear me. But, but I just thought I needed this though. Like I needed to just have these couple hours where I was letting myself feel joy and share music or, joy, but also, not every single song I played was happy, but there still is like, that passionate, this feels good. Even if it's a sad song, it still feels good to have it like flowing through me through the music. And since then, for the second show, the one that I did yesterday, I thought, I don't think I'm going to do an interview. Like, I just want to do music. And so as I was there yesterday alone in the booth sharing this music with, I don't know, right? I don't know if anybody's listening. I have absolutely no way to know that. I'm just doing my thing. But I just felt like, okay, I need this. My world needs this. I spend a lot of time doing advocacy and activism and facing harsh truths and trying to get other people to face harsh truths and all these things. And I need to have a time where I'm being like, for 2 hours, I'm just enjoying this music. Mm-hmm. And I'm singing to it, or I'm dancing in my chair, or I'm going through old archives of, this song, that song, this song, and that in and of itself is an important thing, because I need to keep recharging my own batteries, my own, spiritual batteries, my psychological batteries. Like, I need to do that, and that makes this worthwhile. But the thing that I was feeling, and I think you'll relate to this, and other people who are helpers in the world, and I would imagine people who listen to your podcast are a lot of helpers, I continually felt kind of bad, like I'm wasting this opportunity, I'm wasting this platform, that I should be utilizing this time to be talking about important issues and thinking about, with my old show that I did, people would comment like, I listened to the episode, I'm learning so much, this is so helpful, and thinking, what a waste if I'm just sitting here playing a bunch of music that I'm not helping the community. And like I'm supposed to be helping the community. Like, what am I doing if I'm not helping the community? And my mom was trying to, coax me away from that. Just like, this also matters. This other thing that you're doing matters. And part of me knows that. I know that we all need to feel some joy. And if somebody tuned into my radio show and they're like, ooh, I love this song, and they enjoyed it, that is also helping the community, because we all need to have that experience. But I still kept feeling like it was fluff, like it's not the important work. It's not, And so trying to give myself permission, and all of us, I think that's one of the things we all could be doing right now. If we are doing the work and we're speaking out when we need to be speaking out, and we are like addressing things that are important, then we also should be able to make sure we're giving ourselves the freedom and permission to have fun and relax and laugh and, and know that that's essential too.
Exactly.
And that's very important for parents, in particular, what you were talking about, what you were doing, the self-care of a parent, dealing with things like these, what's going on in the world today. You're wanting to focus on what you do with the kids, but at the same time, what you do with yourself, taking care of yourself, is going to affect them too, and how you deal with what's going on in the world.
And we can model for kids, and I do this with my students, because I'm really, very human with my students, as far as like they don't come in and like all we talk about is voice lessons or acting lessons. We're also talking about life and how are we navigating life, because it's going to show up in how they sing or how they whatever, so we're talking about life things. And I think being able to model that for them, that it's like, you need both. I mean, you need to be able to have honest, authentic expressions of those darker feelings, and then also laughing and singing and finding ways to have joy, because the kids are dealing with so much. I mean, just this past week, one of my students was talking with me about how to handle a situation with, suicide at their school, and she's in a group at the school that's in charge of kind of like mental health stuff for, so I mean, it's like they're dealing with such heavy stuff. That I think helping them know how to like, yes, you can do both. It can be okay for you to have a fun event, because people coming and being able to laugh and dance, that is actually also helping them deal with their grief and their sadness. It doesn't mean you're trying to escape it or pretend it's not there. It's a way to help get that stuff out of your system, get those, get the feelings that are pent up out, but also literally, get the chemicals attached to those emotions in psychophysiology, you know, that's all that's trapped in your muscles. And it's like getting that out of your system, which is why, you know, we can feel so great, right? After a dance session or playing basketball, but it's like we've released a lot of stuff out of our body. And so showing kids like, hey, let's do both. Let's feel our feelings, but let's also jump around and be silly and laugh until we cry, you know?
Yeah, you know, when you were talking about the music and you were talking about the different emotions that it can bring up, whether it's an upbeat song that you want to dance or where you feel something where it's passionate and maybe it's not upbeat, or even the messaging can make you cry, you know, like bring different emotions. And it just, when I think about overwhelm in like having so much heaviness and access to it like we've never had before, of so many things around the world that are happening, and you know, and you can't, it seems like sometimes you can't escape it. I was thinking of like shutdown and how a lot of times it just would go into shutdown, and you know, like that scrolling on the phone where we're like, or playing a game where we're not really doing anything. But what you're talking about, immediately I thought of like feeling numb, but then having something that can get us out of that, to be able to feel joy, to feel something. And I don't know if this is a good time, but you had talked about wanting to bring up When No Thing Works, which is a book. And I actually looked into it a little bit after you said that. And okay, so cool.
Yeah.
So very cool. So I don't know if this is a good segue into explaining a little bit about that and sharing some of the teachings with that. But
yeah, so this book, When No Thing Works, a Zen and Indigenous perspective on resilience, shared purpose, and leadership in the time, place of collapse. And it's written by Zen master Norma Wong. And for people who've been listening to me talk about stuff, you've heard me talking about Norma for about 10 years. We started bringing her here over at the Idaho Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence way back in 2016, doing leadership trainings, workshop trainings. And then once COVID came, those became Zoom trainings. But the beautiful thing about it is then they became global. And so, right? And so when we attend these different trainings and workshops and, you know, collectives, there's people from all over the world. So it's an amazing thing. And so this is a book that she wrote. And, you know, one of the things that is central to her perspective, and, you know, just as in indigenous perspectives in general, is connection with nature, which is so fundamental. And that has to do with like some of the activities I was thinking about that families can do, you know, that I think are so important right now. And being connected to nature, because for one thing, the more connected we are to nature, the less chaotic things seem, because we start to notice, oh, this is all cycles, you know, and that there are cycles where things start to fall apart. And then there are cycles when things start to realign and regrow, and that we've been going through these cycles for all of time, and we're doing it again, but that it's not something that's never happened before. And so when we can connect in with nature, I feel like it can help ground us literally, right? Like to be like, okay, yeah, this is kind of, it feels scary because things are falling apart right now, but this is the first time that things have fallen apart in a society. And we actually, you know, have other people and times and places that have talked about this and what's happened in their societies when things like this happened. And like when we go through The Art of War is one of the books that we went through together with Norma. I mean, it's all written out there. You can see literally exactly everything that's happening, you know, with the type of takeover and power hungriness and the kind of people that are attracted to that and the kinds of strategies they'll try to use. And, you know, it's like all of this has been written about before. This has all happened before, you know, and I feel like that can really help us feel less whipped around in the wind with nothing to cling to, you know, to kind of, so with nature ideas, you know, one of the most beautiful things I think parents can do with kids is like found treasure walks and also just nature observations. So found treasure walks, what I really like to do there is, you know, I think just the whole concept of like, what is a treasure? Because it's just so subjective. It can just be anything, literally. It can, it can be a rock, or it can be a rosebud. Like, I'm enamored with this little rosebud by my front door because it's just like, I'm still red and I don't care if it's winter. It's just this cute little thing. Like, I don't think it's going to actually like bloom into a thing, but like, there it is. Sometimes it's a thing that got some little key that got run over, but it's just cool. But whatever, like, it doesn't even matter. But or just nature things, right? Like looking at aspects of nature that are interesting. Like, we just want to notice things in nature that it could just be like, oh, look at the cool shape of that branch. But I feel like doing stuff like that, it helps us shift our perspective to the immediate here and now, of like, this is literally the ground that my feet are standing on right now. And these are the bushes that are right next to me. And this is the thing that I'm walking next to, and it helps us be back in our specific time and place. This is my yard or my neighborhood. This is a sidewalk and I'm standing on it right now, and I think we can underestimate the power and the beauty that is everywhere around us still, even though there's all of this ugliness that's happening, that's mostly man-made, humans being really horrible. But still within that, nature is still what nature is doing. And it will keep doing this long after we are gone. And, and I just think kind of connecting in with that, remembering, like, I feel like, the idea when you look at stars and it can make you feel really a part of something bigger, but it can also at the same time make you feel a little bit insignificant. But I think that that's healthy. I think it's healthy to reconnect with the idea, like, I get to be a part of this world right now, and this tree is right here and that thing is right here. And I'm also right here. I'm a part of this right now. And that's a thing I get to do. But then this is going to continue to be here long after I'm gone.
Yeah.
So all the things that are going on for me, like in the larger scheme of things, there's going to come a point where I don't exist anymore, but this stuff remains, and so kind of keeping some of this into perspective of, so where am I in this cycle that's going to continue on without me? Where's our whole society in the cycle that's going to be continuing after all of us that are alive experiencing this right now are gone? It's, what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like the indigenous peoples in history have always had that connection to Mother Earth.
Exactly.
That's something we today seem to have lost some connection with.
Connection and respect.
And respect, yes.
Yeah. And I think that the groundedness that comes with reconnecting with that is immeasurable as far as how that impacts whether or not we get whipped into depression or heightened anxiety or all of these things that living in this kind of a tumultuous time can do. It's like one of the only ways to try to get through this with ourselves still intact so that we still recognize who we are on the other end of this is to make sure that we are staying connected to nature. We are recognizing the cycles of nature and the cycles of the ebbs and flows of all things, of power, of greed, of death, of life, all of those things that still are all cyclical and they come and they go. And there's predictable ways that people respond to those. It's not the first time it's happened, and start to kind of be able to, because we can learn from it for one thing. Like we can learn like, oh, okay, having this kind of a reaction has never helped. So why are we doing that again? Like if we would kind of step back and be like, okay, let's check out how humanity has handled these kind of things before, maybe we wouldn't continue making some of the mistakes we're making just in general as a society.
And one thing that we have heard a lot, and I've seen as well with a lot of parents, is trying to protect their children from all of this negativity. And so they don't talk about it. And I know you had mentioned about modeling and how important modeling is. And that there are many opportunities where children are, one, learning at school. Like, I know some parents are like, well, I don't let them see that. I don't let them see that. We don't know what our kids are seeing. And at the same time, if we're not aware of what we're bringing, our energy that we're bringing, our kids are still seeing it and sensing it, but then they're unsure of safety because they don't understand the feelings that they're feeling. And then also, if you're not talking about it, they may not feel safe to talk about the things that they learned about in school or whatever. Any thoughts around, like, based on all of this, that parents can work towards having more of an open dialogue?
Oh, my friend. I have so many big feelings about that. I have big feelings about that. I mean, as a social worker and as an arts educator, I see so many kids come through my studio with such high levels of anxiety, and that anxiety is not coming from the fact that all of these things are happening that weren't happening to kids in yesteryear. It's happening because they are being coddled. They're being so coddled. They have no resiliency. They have no problem-solving skills, right? They don't, because everything, they're being protected by stuff. They're having things be done for them. They're not figuring out how to do the thing. I mean, it's like, and then I see these kids that are literally sometimes paralyzed in my studio. I had a kid one time almost break down because they couldn't figure out how to raise up my music stand. And they're just standing there with their hands at their sides, like, does this go higher? I don't know how to, but it didn't even occur to them to, like, investigate, Wow. Like, look at it, look underneath the thing. Do you see a lever? Do you see a knob? Do you see, like, they just didn't, step one didn't even occur to them, And so you look at the world and you think, okay, let's see, if you were to walk into a room and it's dark, but you can hear little noises somewhere. You don't know what those noises are. You know what's causing them. But you can hear them. You can't create a strategy because you don't know what it is. You just know it's something. Uh-huh. What is your anxiety level in that situation? Extremely high, right? Yeah. But at least if you turn on the light so you can see, okay, here's what it is. Here's what's making that noise. Here are the tools that I have around me to address this issue. So now I can create a plan of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that so I can keep myself safe and I can address this thing, right? And so to me, like, that's what conversation is about. These kids, they're picking up on stuff. They're either hearing about it, like you said. They're hearing about it, or they're sensing energy of tension and fear, but if they don't have more information about it, then it's like they're in a dark room and they just know something's bad, but they don't know what it is. So they can't create a plan for themselves. They don't know how they're supposed to feel because they don't really know what it is. Nobody is served by that. It just creates high anxiety with no strategy, which is like Absolutely. The worst combination, right? Like, I'm feeling really, but I don't know what to do about it. So for me, I'm like, look, parents, if they aren't talking about it because they don't feel like they know how, fine. Google is a resource that is widely available. Like, how do you talk to your kids about There are so many people that have already done the work to figure this stuff out, that people can get those resources if they need to about, like, how should I bring up this topic? How should I bring up that topic? But so many times it doesn't even take that, because if people were comfortable with vulnerability, and as parents recognizing that their job literally is not to have all the answers to stuff, that is not a parent's job, that being a parent is role modeling all kinds of things. One of those things parents need to role model is how to figure stuff out when you don't have all the answers. Kids are going to need to know that. They're going to need to know, like, sometimes I'm not going to have the answers. Then what am I supposed to do?
Absolutely.
And if parents are role modeling, like, there's a lot of really crazy stuff going on right now. I feel scared. I don't know what I should be doing. And they are talking about that openly with their kids. Like, I don't even know how much information I should tell you because I don't want to freak you out, but I also just feel like this is the world around us. Mm-hmm. That actually is a beautiful place to start that conversation. And then it's okay, like I said in the very, very beginning, give yourself permission to pivot, give yourself permission to say, you know what, I think we're starting to get into stuff that's pretty heavy, that I'm feeling like this is kind of out of my element. So I want to actually kind of wrap this conversation up. I'm glad we talked about this, but I feel like maybe we're getting in a little bit too deep, maybe. Yeah. Maybe I'll talk to a counselor. Let me talk to some friends and see how they're handling with their kids. So for now, maybe can we table this discussion? But I'm glad we had this conversation. It's okay to get yourself out of it if you feel like it gets too deep. But it's like these conversations need to be had, and it's okay if it's messy, and it's okay if there's I don't knows involved in parenting. Like I don't know the solution to this.
I love that, and I know we're almost out of time. I think pairing that with also your treasure walks, your nature treasure walks.
Yes.
That way then you can co-regulate and you can be out in nature, having those tough conversations, that parallel process where it's just a beautiful thing to be able to stay present in the moment with your child and connect and be able to figure it out. And I love that you don't have to have all the answers. It takes a lot of pressure off.
Yeah. Yeah. And the book, this book is available. I know Rediscovered Books had it at one point. I've talked to some people who had that, and there's some zen and some peace in that, knowing that sometimes what the moment is about is uncertainty, and that sometimes the worst thing we can do is try to force our way into feeling certain about something when what needed to happen was we needed to actually be in that limbo, in that uncertainty, in that I'm not sure how this is going to resolve. That's actually what nature needed for a minute.
Yeah.
That's what society needed. Maybe some of the things that are going to be the solutions haven't emerged yet because we need to be in this turmoil for a little bit longer to shake up some of the stuff that was problematic in the first place. And then the new things that are going to emerge out of that, those will then become clear and those will become solutions, So sometimes just recognizing if we are trying to force this, like, well, I know what we should do and I know this or I know that, because we somehow just feel like we're in control, rather than just saying, guess what? Regulate your nervous system, take some breaths so that you can actually be okay with not being in control.
Yeah.
Because trying to force the things just so that you feel in control of stuff often means you didn't end up with a solution that was the best solution. You ended up with a solution that you forced because you didn't want to be in limbo anymore.
Right. And it's okay to not be okay all the time.
It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to feel like, I don't know if this is going to turn out. Like all of those things are natural. They're all okay. And just being authentic and transparent about it is often the most healing thing we can do with other people. Like sometimes the most comforting words that somebody can say to you is,
This podcast is brought to you by the Idaho Children's Trust Fund.